American education isn't working for too many of them. We've known this for more than 35 years. The devastating landmark report, A Nation at Risk, detailed the dire state of American education and warned us all.
Opportunity. Who gets it in America? Is it something reserved just for those at the top? Opportunity. Opportunity for every one of our kids, and I underline every one of our kids, to get a first-rate education.
I think the bottom line here is we cannot let our fear of political battles prevent us from giving the kids who need access to knowledge the most, cannot prevent us from giving kids that access.
When my grandparents came to the States in the 70s, my grandfather was a chemical engineer and my grandmother was a teacher, but they resorted to waiting tables and cleaning houses because those were the only opportunities available to them because their degrees were not recognized by the U.S. In the 90s, my mother missed the deadline for financial aid because her guidance counselor refused to believe that a Hispanic woman could be smart enough to go to college. Because of the lack of systemic structures to support my family's dreams of a good education, education has always been instilled in me as one of the most important factors of securing a future for your family. My family isn't the only one to have been disproportionately affected on the subject of education. My coworker, a 23-year-old mother from Argentina, is only able to attend college because our employer offers free tuition at ASU. While racism itself is too broad of a matter to be asked to be solved in one term, let alone 1 year, for the Biden administration, making education readily available to oppressed communities can help bridge the divide in the country through reparations as a tool to overcome racism. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, only 39% of citizens have a bachelor's degree. The catch is, only 26.3% of Black Americans and 18.8% of Hispanic Americans have bachelor's degrees, compared to the 40% of white Americans. I could debate all day on why education has not been made accessible for oppressed communities and why it is seen as a luxury few can afford, but the most important thing is to recognize that education is a human right that is disproportionately denied to minorities. According to a study done by the National Center for Biotechnology Information, not only are Black Americans 6 times more likely to be victims of homicide than white Americans, but there is a correlation between socioeconomic status, higher income inequality, and committing and/or being a victim of a crime. This essentially means that Black Americans are more likely to be victims of crime, the poorer and less likely they are to improve their situation. The same goes for resorting to crime. To make a higher education available to these communities would increase the chances of improving their situations and decrease their chances of becoming a victim of a crime. Improving their own situations won't be the only effect. Korn Ferry, a global organization consulting firm, concluded that more diverse and inclusive organizations experience 70% more growth, 36% more profit, a 75% faster time to market, 87% increase in better business decisions, and an 87% greater impact on performance. This means that more educated minorities equals better business equals a better economy. But how exactly can marginalized communities receive a better education? Allocating federal funds to statistically poorer communities' schools instead of relying on the poorer communities' property taxes for their education can help fix this issue. Currently, schools are funded by the community that they are surrounded by, but this perpetuates the cycle of poverty because a poor community cannot provide the funds to a good education. For example, in Maria's neighborhood, the average cost of a house is $100,000. In Jeffrey's neighborhood, the average cost of a house is $700,000. The percentage of tax rates is the same. This means that the need for Maria's school is not met, and the need for Jeffrey's school is more than met. By changing the way that public schools are funded to a merit-based allocation of funds, students of lower socioeconomic statuses can get a better high school education, get into good universities, and get good scholarships to be able to afford those universities. The truth is, the United States is not the land of opportunity that my grandparents thought it would be. The structure this country was built on was one of slavery and oppression. To continue forward, the U.S. must adapt to the changing climate. Minorities are projected to soon become the majority of Americans in the U.S., and if we continue to perpetuate this cycle of oppression, we will collapse, and the United States will fall farther and farther behind the rest of the world.